Since its inception in the 1980s, the Mario series has cemented itself as an unstoppable juggernaut in the video game industry. While other intellectual properties have come and gone over the decades, the mustachioed carpenter turned plumber turned savior of the Mushroom Kingdom has remained culturally relevant and commercially successful, and he shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. In fact, Mario is one of the most recognizable fictional characters in the world, alongside the likes of Mickey Mouse and Superman. At the time of this video's recording, there are over 20 mainline Super Mario games, ranging from straightforward side-scrolling jaunts to sprawling adventures through fully realized three-dimensional worlds. Each title brings something new and different to the franchise while remaining true to the fun, lighthearted essence established in the very first game. Whether it's 2D or 3D, console or mobile, a Mario game will always feel like a Mario game, fueling both innovation and brand recognition through an appreciation of the past. The most recent game in the series, Super Mario Wonder, gave players everything they could ask for in a side-scrolling Mario game and more, proving to be a powerful addition to the Switch's library. But with success comes expectations. Now the pressure is on Nintendo to maintain its legacy of excellence with the next mainline Mario title, which could very well be a sequel to the critically acclaimed Super Mario Odyssey. Released in 2017, Odyssey was the largest Mario game ever created, featuring 17 expansive worlds strewn with unique NPCs and nearly 1,000 power moons to hunt down and collect. Each expertly crafted biome is a feast for the senses, delighting players with searing desert sands, soaring skyscrapers, crumbling Gothic architecture, and much, much more. Every detail pops with color and energy, combining to create a living, breathing dreamscape that's every bit as much of a character as Mario himself. On the gameplay front, Odyssey fully embraces the fun, challenging platforming that has come to define the series. This classic approach is elevated by the introduction of the capture mechanic, by which Mario can essentially possess certain enemies and objects and utilize their unique abilities. These captures, over 50 in total, replace traditional power-ups and provide new, creative options in regard to traversal, combat, and puzzle solving. Mario can literally do almost anything he puts his mind to, or into, as it were. And if that isn't enough, Odyssey caps its awesomeness by including pixelated 2D platforming sections that harken back to the series' simpler roots. Considering everything Odyssey managed to accomplish, you have to wonder what's next for the franchise. I'm sure Nintendo has plans that will blow our minds, but until those plans are revealed to the public, all we can do is wait and speculate. In this video, I'd like to share my own theory about where the next installment in the Mario series could go. Call it a wish list. I'm JournoSkills, and if you enjoy my content, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you can stay up to date on all my new videos. Many fans and critics consider Super Mario Odyssey to be a celebration of everything great about Mario. That's why the next game should go even further. It should not only be a celebration of Mario, but Nintendo itself, and take Mario places he's never gone before, to worlds inspired by the most iconic and popular Nintendo titles of all time. Consider this premise. Mario is attempting to rescue Peach from Bowser and the Koopalings when they all become caught in a dimensional wormhole created by an unknown force. Swirling headlong towards oblivion, Mario quickly loses consciousness. When he awakens, he finds himself floating alone in a pitch-black void peppered with star-like motes of light and spiraling dimensional rifts bursting with color. Before Mario can gather his wits, a small spacecraft appears before him and he is taken aboard. The spacecraft is revealed to be a sentient being and even has a name: Cosmo. We learn that Mario has somehow ended up in a void that exists between different planes of reality, and that Cosmo acts as a ferryman to those who find themselves stranded in said void. He has no idea how Mario ended up in the void, but offers to shuttle him back to the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario, however, refuses to return home until he finds Peach. Cosmo agrees to help, hoping that their search for the missing princess will eventually uncover the source of the dimensional anomaly. With that, Mario and Cosmo set off on their grand adventure into both the familiar and the unknown. From this point on, the pair will explore the various dimensions that occupy the rift. Each portal leads to a world inspired by a classic Nintendo title. Upon arriving in a new dimension, Cosmo descends to a landing point, at which point Mario disembarks to explore his surroundings on foot. These vast, richly detailed lands all feature their own unique enemies, NPCs, and power-ups. When it comes to which games could be used as inspiration, there are several in particular that I'd like to see. The first is The Legend of Zelda. Imagine Mario in a Hyrule-esque landscape, traversing grassy plains, scaling towering mountains, and raiding ancient dungeons laden with traps and treasures in equal measure. Homages to Hyrule Castle and Castle Town would act as hub areas, where Mario could take a break from the main quest to interact with non-hostile NPCs, purchase items, and participate in mini-games. When it comes to the enemies, Goombas, Koopa Troopas, and other classic Mario foes would populate every corner of the map, donning Zelda-themed attire. To combat these foes, Mario would acquire his own Zelda-specific power-ups, such as a green hat that grants him a replica of Link's iconic tunic complete with a sword and devastating spin attack. Other power-ups could include items that give Mario access to Zora, Goron, and Rito abilities. These powers, in conjunction with Mario's natural gymnastic prowess, would give him the edge he needs to overcome any challenge. A Metroid-themed dimension would prove equally enthralling. Here, Mario would navigate an alien world honeycombed with subterranean tunnels and derelict ruins interwoven with ancient technology, all the while battling space pirate Koopa Troopas and boos that resemble Metroids. Regarding power-ups, the standout would be a Samus-like helmet that equips Mario with an arm-mounted energy cannon and the ability to transform into a morph ball to reach otherwise inaccessible areas. The Super Mario Galaxy games proved that Mario and science fiction are two flavors that pair well together, and I'm confident that this quasi-crossover between Mario and Metroid would be no different. Next up is Kid Icarus, because what's a Mario game without a sky-based area? The setting would be reminiscent of ancient Greece. Impossibly tall mountains would pierce the cloud tops, crowned by shimmering citadels, grand temples, and magnificent hanging gardens. This breathtaking environment would introduce a new dimension of verticality as Mario scales treacherous crags, navigate twisted, clifftop labyrinths, and encounter devious adversaries inspired by Greek myth. Mobility, puzzle solving, and combat could be facilitated by power-ups that bestow Mario with limited flight and various magic abilities centered around an archery mechanic. Without a doubt, this dimension would be a love letter to Kid Icarus fans everywhere. The Pikmin franchise may not be as old as the other games I've mentioned, but it's no less iconic. Mario is no stranger to being the smallest guy in the room, and nowhere was this more evident than in Super Mario Bros. 3, when Mario first set foot on Giant Island. This bizarre kingdom was home to enormous Goombas, Koopa Troopers, and piranha plants. Even the scenery itself towers over our minuscule protagonist. Giant Island had such a profound impact on the series that a similar level made its appearance years later in Super Mario 64. Considering this, our hypothetical sequel to Mario Odyssey would be remiss not to follow suit. Mario could explore a Pikmin-inspired setting, such as a backyard oasis or the inside of a house, avoiding giant-sized versions of Bowser's minions, and utilizing power-ups that lend him the powers and elemental resistances of red, blue, and yellow Pikmin. The addition of environmental puzzles and optional timed challenges reminiscent of Pikmin's 30-day time limit could add additional spice to an already toothsome offering and establish this pint-sized excursion as one of Mario's most memorable outings to date. Potential licensing issues notwithstanding, a Castlevania-themed dimension would not only insert a little horror into the game but would also be an amusing throwback to the old ghost houses featured in Super Mario World, as well as Big Boo's haunt from Super Mario 64. The map could include a haunted forest, cemetery, and castle, laden with secrets and teeming with boos, dry bones, chinchos, and other creepy enemies. When it comes to power-ups, a whip reminiscent of the Belmont clan's preferred weapon is a no-brainer. The weapon could double as a grappling hook that would not only assist Mario in platforming but also snag distant items and flip out-of-reach switches. This dimension, with its creepy ambience, puzzling layout, and spooky yet mischievous enemies would provide players with an amazing and memorable experience that does the Castlevania franchise proud. Though there are countless other Nintendo games to draw inspiration from, Mega Man, Star Fox, and Excitebike, to name a few, one title in particular comes to mind. In most 3D Mario games, there are secret areas hidden within every stage. These small, self-contained obstacle courses present some of the stiffest platforming challenges their respective games have to offer, requiring flawless timing and precision to overcome. Without these, our theoretical Odyssey sequel would be incomplete. But which game could be used as inspiration for these stages? Personally, I'd have to go with Tetris. Sections dominated by colorful blocks and constantly shifting geometry would put Mario's platforming prowess to the ultimate test, and even give the infamous Grandmaster Galaxy a run for its money. Only the most seasoned Mario players need apply. I could go on all day about more potential dimensions, but now I'd like to discuss an integral part of every Mario game: the bosses. Shortly after meeting Cosmo, we learn that Bowser survived the dimensional anomaly and is still holding Peach captive. Moreover, he has somehow gained cosmic powers that have allowed him to assume control of the Void. He has granted his Koopalings a small portion of said power and given each one control over a single dimension. Appearance-wise, every Koopaling will pay tribute to a different iconic boss. Just imagine facing off against a Dracula version of Ludwig von Koopa or a Mother Brain-inspired Wendy O. Koopa. There could even be sections where we take control of Cosmo to engage in aerial dogfights with an Andross-like rendition of Bowser himself. These possibilities could result in some of the best, most memorable boss battles in Mario history. Now that we've discussed levels and bosses, let's close out with one of the most important elements of modern Mario games: the collectibles. In the past, level progression has been tied to power stars, shines, and moons. Collecting a certain number of these tokens unlocks more and more stages, and our hypothetical game is no different. But here, they change appearance depending on the dimension they're found in. Zelda collectibles could appear as Triforces. Castlevania collectibles could appear as hearts, and so on. Coins could serve as currency and be used to purchase extra lives, health power-ups, and upgrades for Cosmo's shield and weapon systems. Odyssey made coin collection more worthwhile than any mainstream Mario title preceding it. The same approach should apply to all Mario games going forward. And with that, I think I'll bring this video to a close. Though I doubt Nintendo will go in the direction I outlined in this discussion, it's fun to speculate. But I want to know what you guys think. What are your hopes for the next 3D Mario game? Do you have any interesting plots or premises? Leave them down in the comments. Lastly, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching this video. Take care, and I'll see you again real soon.